So today we're going to work with commas with introductory adverb clauses. Lots of stuff about commas here. Before we discuss using commas with adverb clauses, we probably need to learn what an adverb clause is. An adverb clause is a subordinate clause that functions as an adverb. That's a pretty simple definition. It answers the same questions that adverbs answer: where, when, how, why, to what extent, and under what conditions. And the adverb clause will begin with a subordinate conjunction. And I've listed for you some of those conjunctions. This is not a complete list, but it is some of the more common ones. And these adverb clauses can appear in many places in a sentence. However, when they begin a sentence, they have to be followed by a comma, and there are absolutely no exceptions. So, since our lesson today is about putting commas with introductory adverb clauses, that's what we want to pay particular attention to. Our first example says, because he was late, he did not stop for a donut. Because he was late is my subordinate clause. It is an adverb clause, and it starts with a subordinate conjunction, because. So if anyone told you before that you cannot start sentences with because, they were wrong. You certainly can, and it's perfectly fine to do it, and it's probably a whole lot better to start a sentence with an adverb clause than to put it at the back end, like he did not stop for donut because he was late. It's not that that's incorrect, it's that it's very simplified. And one of the things that you have to learn in order to become a better writer is how to introduce sentences with a variety of things. Infinitive phrases, gerund phrases, adverb clauses, and other things that we'll look at. The next example, whenever you find the time, please write to me. So this is your subordinate clause. It starts with your subordinate conjunction, and because it introduces the sentence, you absolutely must have a comma after that subordinate clause. And we'll practice some of these, just identifying adverb clauses. I'd like for you to underline the clauses in the sentence, and remember that when it introduces a sentence, you have to have a comma after it. So our first sentence says, we sent her a card since she was sick. Well, here's my subordinate conjunction, since, and this is my subordinate clause. You know, when we talk about clauses, the definition of a clause is that it has a subject and a verb. That's it. We have two kinds of clauses. We have independent and dependent. An independent clause would be the sentence, main sentence. We sent her a card. That's your independent clause. And since she was sick is a subordinate clause. You cannot let that stand alone because it would be a fragment. Listen to this. Since she was sick, you see, that's not a sentence. The subordinate clause has to sit with an independent clause, which is your main sentence. So here our adverb clause sits at the end of the sentence. Here it sits at the beginning, whenever you find the time. And there's the comma. Because if you have an adverb clause, a subordinate clause, that introduces a sentence, you have to have a comma after it. So remember that our instructions said to underline the adverb clause. So you're going to underline this, and then you're going to underline that, and then I want you to start remembering that you have to have that comma after it if it introduces the sentence. All right, here are the rest of those. And then we'll practice some more. And these are going to help you learn to write better, because the exercise is to begin sentences with adverb clauses. I've given you a sentence. You will not be able to drive the car until you get your license. And I want you to rewrite that sentence and begin the sentence with your adverb clause. So the first sentence, the woman looked up as soon as I addressed her. So what's the subordinate clause? If you can't find it, what's the main sentence? How much of this would be just a sentence? The woman looked up. all of this is extra doodad stuff. That's your adverb clause. And so you would say, as soon as I looked up, the woman as soon as I addressed her, comma, the woman looked up. Be sure you put those commas in there where they belong. And then we're going to try more creating introductory adverb clauses. This time we're going to take two short sentences. We're going to combine them into one longer sentence that has an adverb clause. And even though you can put those two sentences together and have your adverb clause in different places in the sentence, I want you to put your adverb clause at the beginning of the sentence, because you have to learn how to begin sentences with adverb clauses. It's a very, very sophisticated way to write, and when you take your SAT and PSAT, they will be looking for this. So our example says, the boy went home from school early. He was sick. Your task is to turn one of those sentences into a subordinate clause. Here are some choices. Because he was sick, the boy went home early from school. Or, as he was sick, as means the same thing as because or since. As he was sick, the boy went home from school early. Since he was sick, the boy went home from school early. There are other ways that you can write this. This is not the only way. These three ways are not the only ways. So just look at them and make a decision how you want to do it. The only criteria is that you create an adverb clause and you put it at the beginning of the sentence. Okay, remember that adverb clauses begin with subordinate conjunctions, and I've listed some here for you. And here are your sentences. And that's a very, very short lesson, isn't it? Here are your answers to introductory adverb clauses. More answers. So when you write your sentences and you check them, just understand that there are more ways to do it than what I've listed there. So if you didn't put down exactly what I have as an answer choice, mark it. And when we get together on our webinars, then you should ask me about it to be sure that you've done it correctly. Remember that I'm trying to make you into a real good writer. So this is one of the best ways to start sentences is with adverb clauses. I hope you can incorporate that into your school essays too. So I'll be talking to you in the next video.